Hello friends, this is Durga again from Technology Mentor / ITversity. At this time we are talking about setting up plain vanilla Hadoop for MapReduce development. It covers both how we can actually set up plain vanilla Hadoop, which is less resource intensive compared to other virtual machines that comes out of Cloudera and Hortonworks. And so far we have seen how to set up the VM with all the prerequisites, how to download and install Hadoop binaries, and also we have seen how we can set up the HDFS components such as the name node, data node, and secondary name node. And in this video we will take it further and try to set up and try to set up yarn on this. And as part of this playlist, just understand that I will not be covering MapReduce quite extensively. If you want to look at MapReduce, there is another playlist. I'm getting into my YouTube channel. So this is my YouTube channel. You can search for ITversity and it will take you here, and you can see that there are multiple playlists like Hadoop MapReduce application development, plain vanilla single nodes setup and development, and Hadoop administration. There are Hadoop administration videos for Hortonworks, for Cloudera, etc. So if you want to understand how the administration is done in production environments step by step, you have to go through these playlists. And for MapReduce extensive development, you have to use this one. So how the role of this plain vanilla Hadoop is to understand the concepts and also the programs that are developed on this. And if you don't have enough resources on your laptop to test those programs, you can come back to this and try to see how you can actually set up and run your programs. So only those pain points which are required to understand how our MapReduce programs that are developed as part of this playlist can be executed in plain vanilla. It will be pretty straightforward once you get your head around it. It will not take long time to understand how it works. But setting up and in the initial stages, it will take some time to correlate between the other playlist and this one, but it will not take very long time to get your head around it. That being said, now I am going back to our cluster, or our single node plain vanilla Hadoop, which is named as Hadoop 271. This is the VM which is used to download and install Hadoop binaries and then configure Hadoop HDFS on it so far, and also compile native libraries which will be useful when it comes to compression of data and other important stuff. That being said, let me go to our PPT of Hadoop Introduction, which is covered in the other topics. Here I will be only covering this slide. I will not get into too many details here. Sorry, let me try. So far we have provisioned the VM, and then we started with Hadoop core components, and we set up HDFS, which is name node, data node, and secondary name node. Now we will be setting up the MapReduce framework. In this case, as we are using Hadoop 2.7.1, we will be using execution framework called yarn. If you want to understand the details, I would highly recommend to go to the other playlists. For example, go to Hadoop MapReduce, and then you can go to this one, MapReduce execution framework, and there are a bunch of videos which you need to understand. MR1 or Classic is for the earlier versions. It might help you a little bit to understand how it works, but but all the new projects are being developed using MRV2 or Yarn, MRV2 plus Yarn. So that being said, now let us see how we can set it up. So Yarn also comes with Hadoop binaries. So already we have downloaded and installed Hadoop binaries. So we have all the required software to set up Yarn plus MR2. Only thing is we need to do the configuration and we have to start the daemon process. For configuration, you have to go to this directory under our Hadoop home, which is etc Hadoop. So that is the same location where we have modified core site and HDFS site.xml for HDFS. Now it have few more XML files like yarn site.xml and MapReduce site.xml. They only provide templates for MapReduce site.xml. You have to clone the template and make necessary changes to that. So these two are the most important files. Let me first clone the templates for MapReduce site.xml. Okay, so as of now we haven't done any configuration when it comes to yarn-site.xml. When it comes to Yarn and MapReduce. So let's see whether we can run any programs or not. For that, if you run find on the root directory as you log in as root, and then try to search for Hadoop *examples *jar. So there are a bunch of Hadoop MapReduce examples jar file, and you can use this one to execute existing example MapReduce applications like word count, etc. To test that, first you need to have the data in HDFS under user root, which we have created as part of the earlier video. Right now there is no data at all. So let me copy some files here. What I am doing is I am making a directory, or what I can do is I can actually copy root Hadoop. I am actually copying all our configuration files to that. Okay. So it will create the directory conf and it will copy everything that is in Hadoop to conf. You can actually do Hadoop ss -ls and hit enter, and it will show you the conf directory. And if you look at conf, you will see all those files here. So let's do the word count program on this just to test that whether we can run Hadoop MapReduce programs without setting up Yarn plus MR2. So for that, let me do find again, and let me use this. Hadoop jar, and if you hit enter, it will show the usage of this. So to get the word count, we can use this program. We need to pass this as parameter to our jar file, and then we have to give the input path. Our input path is root Hadoop and conf, and output path is root Hadoop output, and hit enter. So it failed. Input path does not exist. Yeah, actually input path is user Hadoop. So we need to give the HDFS user root. We need to give the HDFS path. Earlier by mistake I have given the local file system path. And now I ran the job, and if you can see, it is actually running in the local mode. So even though there is no MapReduce cluster, still it ran our program in the local mode. and if you go to this output, you will easily understand that it is running in the local mode. So let me see here. It is saying it's local job runner, so it is not running as it should run in cluster. So how to set up the cluster? So without cluster, while doing the development, you can actually run it in local mode by default, but that is not the ideal way of doing or ideal way of running your MapReduce applications. And for that reason, it will be better to set up the MapReduce framework or distributed execution framework or distributed computing framework using Yarn and MapReduce. So for that, let's start with yarnside.xml, and here they have given the template, and we have to add the property tag. In that, we have to have the name tag, and value tag. Okay, so the mandatory parameter for having our Yarn related background process running, we have the name is yarn dot resource manager dot address, and then we have to give our IP, which is Hadoop 271.itversity.com, and port number on which it should run, which is 8050 in this case. Okay, so same thing, we have to go to MapReduce.xml and make an entry over there. We already copied and cloned the MapReduce.xml template, and here we have to paste it. And the mandatory parameter when it comes to MapReduce, Hadoop 2.7.1 single node setup. So we are going to the same page which we have used earlier, setting up a single node in fully distributed operation. So here we have covered the HDFS part as part of the last video, and now we are talking about the Yarn, and we already specified Yarn resource manager address in yarnside.xml. Now we have to have this one in the MapReduce.xml. Okay, so this has to be deleted. Now we are in the MapReduce.xml actually. So it tells which framework should we use, and we need to use Yarn framework to invoke our MapReduce programs. Okay, so these two are the mandatory parameters. One in yarnside.xml file, and the other one is MapReduce.xml file. And even once you do this, and once you actually run start yarn.sh, it will try to start your resource manager and node manager, which will help you in executing your MapReduce programs. Now it should run in non-local mode, which is fully distributed mode. Let us see whether it will run. I am giving a different path here. So now, okay, yeah, now it is actually trying to run. It is submitting as it should do in the Hadoop in the cluster where Yarn and MapReduce are running, but it failed, saying that one service related to MapReduce shuffle, and it says it does not exist. So we need to do some configurations with respect to MapReduce shuffle. Before getting into that, I would like to explain what is that MapReduce shuffle is. So if you actually look at my other MapReduce development playlist, you will see this picture quite a few times. This is very important picture. So if you go through that, you will understand easily. But at this time, I will only focus the component that is related to what it is complaining about. So when you run the MapReduce program, like the word count, you will have input data like this, and the map function will be invoked. So the map function will be developed by the developers, and you can go through my MapReduce application development playlist, and you will understand that it will be running in a JVM, and for each and every record the map function will be invoked, and then the output will be returned to something called output buffer. But there is a limit on your output buffer size, and once once it reaches certain threshold in your output buffer, while your mapper task is running in JVM, the data from the output buffer has to be flushed into this intermediate data file, and this is called as spill. And this spill is done by an auxiliary service, and that is called as MapReduce shuffle service, and you have to have that if you want to run your MapReduce program. And for the configuration, we have to go here, and then we have to say so this is the one which you need to configure, and this has to be done as part of your yarnsets.xml file. So I'm going to yarnsort.xml. Let me y for y p. So I pasted it, and the parameter name is yarn node manager.org services, and then here you have to say MapReduce shuffle. Okay, now whenever you make changes to your parameter files, you have to stop. So all these scripts are under Hadoop home sbin directory. I have already added to the path, so it is working. So if it is not working, then you have to add to the path variable in your bash profile, and it will work. So it is complaining, so let's make sure that it is stopped. You can run this command called ps-ef grep manager and see if node manager or resource manager is running. Both are stopped. So now we can actually start. So now let us run the MapReduce program again. We need to give a different path all the time for output, but the input remains same, and hit enter. If you use the same output directory, then it will fail, saying that directory already exists. So even I think the start command just submitted the start, but it did not start by the time we submit the job. But now it is, the resource manager is started, so it should work this time. So now you can see that our MapReduce program is running. So we have done minimum configuration, but there are defaults associated with it. So it will be using those defaults, and it will be running your MapReduce programs. But if you go and see the see this page, which will talk about full setup, it has many parameters, but I will recommend you to go one by one at a time and try different things and try to understand what is going on. It's taking quite a bit of time because there are too many small files, and it is actually submitting many mappers. in this case 30 mappers on a single node cluster. So it will take time to complete, even though there is not much data to process. Now it is done, and our setup of MapReduce is complete. And if you want to see the way job is executed, you can use this link. As the job is completed, you might not see the results because you need to set up one more thing called job history server, and I will take care of it as part of the next video. But if you want to see when it is running, you can run this job again and hit enter. And once the job is submitted, as we are using yarn, it will give this kind of URL, and paste it here. When it is running, it will show the results, but once it is done, it will not show, because we need to set up something called job history server, which I will talk in the next video. So now you can see that job is running and 12 mappers are completed, and you can get into the details and navigate through the job and see how it is performing. And if you have tough time understanding this, you have to go through the main playlist, which will talk about MapReduce application development using Hadoop. That being said, that's it for now. I will go ahead and create a job history server as part of the next video, and then we will see other important things that you need to keep in mind when it comes to plain vanilla Hadoop setup, especially for R&D purposes. I will not be covering too much details. I will try to keep it simple and make sure that it will come handy for you to develop MapReduce programs and test on our plain vanilla Hadoop, which uses lot lesser resources compared to Hortonworks or Cloudera. That being said, I hope you are enjoying the content so far on my channel. If you like the particular video, please click on the like button. If you want to provide feedback or ask any technical questions, please leave the comment section of the video. And if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please do so. You will see a lot more content than just Hadoop and big data over time. Thank you. Bye.